Hello, everyone. Happy Tuesday. Nika here with your second daily neuro nugget. And I almost forgot, I did forget in the last live to cover another document regarding Kohberger's suspicious behavior. And I think it is so important to break that down because we know that there's a narrative of Kohberger. The way he acts is very strange. His clothing is very strange. And here we have a document talking about a potluck that Mr. Kohberger went to. And he's acting weird. And people are saying this that he's weird. So I want to go over the interview. Welcome, guys. If you missed the first live, please go watch that once that we're done here. You definitely want to watch the first one. It's very, very interesting. So bear with me, guys. I'm streaming from my 10-year-old laptop. It cost $100. I'm so proud of that. A very cheap laptop, and I've had it for over 10 years, but it is a little slow sometimes. So please bear with me. I will try my very best to keep up it in the chat, right? So yes, welcome back, Maria. Thank you. So this is an interview, somebody that was having a conversation with Brian Kohberger at a potluck. These are newly dropped documents. This was an interview that was done by ISP, right? That's Idaho State Police. And this person, remember, as we go through these documents, as we go through these interviews, the names are still redacted. A lot of things are still blurred or blacked out. So bear with me, but we can use the power of deduction. We can kind of fill in the blank, if you will. And here we go, guys. So it says, I was having a conversation with Kohberger. He commented, he noted Kohberger would deliberately socially engineer his conversation and talking points to integrate himself within a group. He specifically noted this was with regard to Kohberger discussing sports. When Blank indicated he had no interest in sports, Kohberger moved to stating he had little interest in sports either. During this conversation, which was conducted in Kohberger's car in the parking lot and the parking space outside Blank home, Kohberger said he had no one to really have guy talks with. He briefly talked about women and dating, noting Kohberger said he could pick up any woman he wanted in bars and clubs. Blank said he felt the inference was Kohberger did not value women and saw them more as articles. Blank said he felt he was verbally kidnapped. Verbally kidnapped. I'm sorry, maybe I'm old, but what the fuck? Okay, this is a grown ass man that is being interviewed by ISP, and he's saying, oh my God, I felt like I was verbally kidnapped. For real? You felt like you were verbally kidnapped because Kohberger altered his conversation? We have to remember, right? Mr. Kohberger is autistic. Mr. Kohberger's autistic, okay? And from the very first week I saw his face, I came on here and I told the world, I'm pretty sure that Brian's autistic. And what did people come and tell me? They came over and hated, and they're like, you can't tell somebody's autistic by just how they look. No, you can't, but I got it right. And you know why? That's because he was acting a little bit strange, a little bit weird. It's not typical. I got it right. And we can tell, as somebody who has a psychology master's degree 4.0, that somebody's autistic sometimes because we've been doing this for so long, right? Not everybody can tell that. I have a psych background. I am pretty good at picking up these cues, right? We know he has strange eye contact, but one of the things that most people, especially because most people don't have a psych background, is that when they interact with a person who is neurodivergent, like myself, I'm neurodivergent. I know a lot of you guys are neurospicy as well. Um, or a lot of people um, who may, you know, who may not have interactions with neurodivergent people on a daily basis, or who have never been around neurodivergent people, they find us weird. We're weird as fuck. Some people have told me I'm weird, because why am I still talking about this? It's like, bro, I'm neurospicy and I have a strong sense of justice. That's why. Um, but nonetheless, a lot of autistic people have difficulties with social interactions, right? Why? Because we talk differently. We speak differently. A lot of people who are on the spectrum are trying to communicate with neurotypicals. Two completely different communication styles, by the way. Neurotypicals talk about random shit like, how are the kids? How's your wife? Football. And Brian Kohberger was trying to fit in with a neurotypical man, saying, I don't have a guy to talk about guy things with. I don't have a guy friend to do that. So here he is going to this neurotypical man, probably a neurotypical man, normal man, and trying to make conversation. What do most men talk about? Sports. And then this guy's like, oh my God, I feel like I'm being verbally kidnapped because he keeps trying to alter the conversation. Okay, I'm getting the vibe here that Mr. Kohberger is trying very, very hard as a neurodivergent individual who is autistic, has anxiety and has OCD and a bunch of other diagnoses. He's trying to do his best to socialize here, and he's failing because neurotypicals can whiff neurodivergent people out. They just can. They can pick us out of the crowd, especially when we're the same age range. So here he's like, I don't know, it's just weird. And he's talking about women like they're things. I'm like, yeah, it's not because he sees women as things. It's because he's neurodivergent. It's because he is autistic. He doesn't see women as things, but that's how he is expressing himself about this. See, they're taking things out of context, in my opinion, right? Then they're going on and saying, Kohberger move the conversation to social media and its impact on societal issues. Again, most neurodivergent people, we talk like this. We're talking about societal issues. What neurotypical person is going to do that? Most of them, none. Okay. Most neurotypicals are going to talk about regular shit like the weather, the soccer practice with the kids. What's for dinner? How's the wife, Joe? How's the wife? Right? That's how most people talk. They're not out here talking about societal issues, right? To this, he discussed how people align themselves within social media bubbles, which became echo chambers. Here he's being such a neurodivergent fellow. I can relate, right? He's talking about echo chambers, like such a nerd, and I don't say that with hate, right? We don't like small talk. It physically pains us. It hurts our brains to have this pointless, useless small talk when you ask me, how are you? How are you, Nika? Oh my God, yeah, I'm good. Okay, a lot of us neurodivergent, neurospicy people, we'll before we realize we're fucking weird, we'll tell you how we really feel. We'll tell you how we really are. When in reality, neurotypicals are only asking, how are you, as like a good morning. It's a good morning. They don't actually want to know how the fuck you are. Right? It's not this straightforward communication style. It's a bunch of BS, in my opinion. Right? Who gives a shit about the sports? Who gives a shit about the weather or soccer practice? Let's talk about things that matter. Let's talk about societal issues, echo chambers on social media, criminal psychology, cases like Idaho versus Kohberger, right? It's physically painful for a lot of us neurospicy individuals to talk about boring ass shit. I'm sorry. Kohberger discussed politics and indicated he had predominantly conservative household values. in where traditional gender roles applied. And you can't talk about that nowadays. Thank you so much, Shalom, for the 99-cent super sticker, super chat. Thank you. I really appreciate it. You definitely can't talk about that nowadays. Hello, Suds. Welcome. Definitely cannot talk about politics and traditional gender roles because we know how that makes people feel. You know, it's a war. You can't talk about anything now without starting a war with your coworker or your classmates. And talking about traditional gender roles, ooh, Kohberger. Kohberger. He doesn't know better. He's neurospicy. Doesn't know any better. Blank said his interactions with Kohberger, he never discussed his home, family, friends. He only discussed his educational experiences at his previous college. Blank recalled Kohberger indicated a desire to work with Blank, a professor of forensic psychology and criminal justice at Blank, who has written many notable books and articles on the serial killer BTK. So again, he's talking about not normal stuff, right? It's not typical conversation. By the way, guys, if you ever meet me in person, you'll realize how much of a weirdo I am. And women my age can pick it up, right? Most of my friends are way older or like younger. People my age, especially women, they're bullies. They're bullies. They're normal. I mean typical, like regular folk. Most people are neurotypical and they talk about regular shit, right? Very basic, very shallow conversations. Right? You can't really have those political, religious, traditional gender role discussions or I can't go to work and at break talk about serial killers or criminal psychology. I cannot go to work and talk to neurotypicals about the IDAHO4 because they're like, what's wrong with you, bitch? You've talked about the IDAHO4 for 3 years already. You what? You created a YouTube channel just to discuss the IDAHO4? You're effing weird. You know, that weirds women out. I'm supposed to talk about lipstick and hating my husband and what else do other women talk about? Dieting. When I pay attention to what my female coworkers talk about, not to throw shade, this is neurotypical conversation with my peers. They're talking about diets, losing weight, makeup, hating their spouses, or being tired mothers. Okay, I have all those things too, but I don't want to talk about it. I want to talk about shit that matters. Nonetheless, he described Kohberger as focused but arrogant. And this is a trait, this is a word that is used very often to describe people who are autistic. They come across as arrogant. They have this verbose speech. Yeah, because they're neurodivergent. He wanted all his classmates to know he was the smartest guy in the room. Did he actually? Did he actually want people to think that? Or was he actually just the smartest guy in the room and people projected that he was arrogant because he was the smartest? Sometimes when we're the smartest in the room, we trigger people's insecurities. And I feel like he triggered a lot of people, right? With his brain, his academic prowess, and wanted to highlight his academic prowess, said the female members had an innate ability to see things like character traits in people not often recognized by men. They voiced Kohberger made them uncomfortable, felt unsafe, and that he was creepy. And I'm not throwing my coworker under the bus, but I do have a coworker who's autistic AF, right? This is how he describes himself. And his love life is not good because he's very direct. He's like almost 70 years old, never been in a relationship. You know why? Because this is how he approaches women. Oh, you're not 35. Oh, you don't have a master's degree like I do. Oh, you are over 130 pounds? No. Because he's very straightforward, as many autistic individuals are. Straightforward, no bullshit. If I ask him, do I look fat in these scrubs? He's gonna be like, yeah, those are a little too tight on you. You should probably size up or whatever. Neurodivergent people are straightforward. Now let's talk about is it? Let's talk about the potluck. The potluck. This is somebody that was interviewed by Ryan O'Hara, Officer Ryan O'Hara with ISP, Idaho State Police, and they asked her on January 13, 2023, at about 3:43 p.m., Detective Jake Schwecke and I interviewed at Washington State University in blank. The following is a summary of the interview. For full details, listen to the audio recording. So they're interviewing somebody who probably worked with Mr. Kohberger at WSU. This is what she had to say. She is a blank for blank of the blank. Great. I'm tired of the blanks. She never talked to Kohberger. First of all, why are you interviewing somebody that they're telling you they never talked to Kohberger? I don't understand. Nonetheless, she did not interact with him either. Oh, wow, great. So you didn't talk to him, you didn't interact with him. She did not interact with him at the potluck either, but overheard him say, "It doesn't look like there's anything I can eat." Well, he is vegan, right? Can't have meats, can't have dairy, can't have honey, can't have eggs. Like a lot of vegans struggle eating out. That's like a normal phrase for a vegan to be saying in a potluck. Why are they trying to make it like it's creepy? Like, oh my gosh, that's so weird. Why would he say that? It's a little bit sus. At the potluck, Kohberger was dressed in all black and wearing black gloves. She noted it was cold out, but everyone else had removed their outdoor gear. I'm like, okay, but this is the middle of winter. He's a vegan. A lot of vegans just run colder. um, why are they trying to make something out of this? Okay, maybe he was cold. Maybe everybody else had removed their jackets and their outdoor gear for the potluck, but they're like so quick to point out that he was wearing black and black gloves. They keep reaching. They're grasping at straws. Still grasping at straws, saying that's strange. Why would he be wearing that? Right? So strange. But it just makes me realize how much the media was trying to grasp at straws and paint this picture of Mr. Kohberger, that he's always wearing black, that he's weird, that he's abnormal, that he sees women as things, when in reality, he's just autistic, bro. Like, I don't know how to explain it. He's just autistic, right? He's just autistic. And I'm like, this is somebody who's autistic. He's vegan. He's very, very structured. He's obsessed with his daily routine. And he has also been diagnosed with what? With OCD and with anxiety. How is this person who wears gloves everywhere he goes prior to the IDAHO4, by the way, prior to the IDAHO4, we know that he's also a germaphobe, right? And this is also peak COVID. People were still, in 2022, people were still wearing gloves. They were doing whatever. But he already has all those other diagnoses on top of that. How does this person with all these OCD, super structured, super obsessed tendencies, how does somebody like this end up committing such a random crime that then leaves the scene spotless, right? Somebody like this, that's this structured, this paranoid about germs, this paranoid about wearing gloves everywhere. Why would he commit such a messy crime when you could literally just, like, I don't know, do something else? In my opinion, this man, Brian Kohberger, does not fit the crime. And I feel like he was trying his very hardest for approval. He's trying to fit in with most people, which are neurotypical. Most people are neurotypicals. He's trying to fit in. He's trying to make small talk, even though it pains us to make this small talk. It hurts our brains. It physically hurts our brains, our bodies, to make this painful small talk that we don't give a shit about. We don't give a shit about sports. He was still trying, putting himself out there, trying to get approval, trying to fit in, trying to find a male friend. And this guy basically said, fuck you. I felt like it was a what did he say? What was it? What were his words? Like a prisoner of this conversation or something like that. It's like, and then on top of that, they're saying that he did all of this, the IDAHO4, in under 10 minutes. I'm like, that's why there's a gag order. Even though all of the documents are supposedly out here, they're very heavily redacted. Why? Because none of it fits, none of this makes sense. And the person that has the most red flags, well, there's a lot of jacks and there's a lot of roommates that should be looked at, in my opinion, right? And let's say that even though he did do this, the way that everybody's crucifying his behaviors that are due to his neurodivergence, right? His awkward conversations, socially awkward, whatever. They're crucifying those behaviors without realizing that most people who are on the spectrum, most neurodivergent people, are not serial unalivers. So people, neurotypicals, need to learn to separate both of them. It is one thing to be neurotypical and to be socially awkward and make people uncomfortable because you don't know how to make small talk. You're all or nothing. Your conversations are all or nothing, right? That is one thing. And then it's another one where neurotypicals are like, oh my God, he was so weird. He talked about women this way. He talked about sports. People said he was socially awkward and they felt uncomfortable because of his intense eye contact. It's like, those are two separate things. So people need to just become more aware of neurodivergent behaviors, I think, right? And for people who don't have a background in psychology, even for people like me, right? I have a past of like working with children or adults that were neurodivergent. And if you don't know the difference, some people can come across as, when you don't know the difference, it could be like, oh my God, they're a sociopath, when in reality, they're just autistic, right? Why do I say that it appears that there's some sort of overlap sometimes? Well, from my point of view, when I've worked with autistic children or autistic adults, we know that Brian Kohberger has typed up some things online when he was young, saying that he doesn't have this feeling of connection with his family, with whatever. It's like, yeah, he doesn't have that feeling of connection, not because he's a sociopath, not because he's a psychopath. He has this disconnect with his body, with the people around him, because he is on the spectrum, right? That's why. So just wanted to share that with you guys because we shouldn't just take something from the media and state it as facts. You know, um, we know that people that are on the spectrum have monotone voices sometimes. They have unusual voice patterns sometimes. They can become intensely focused on specific topics. And I feel like Mr. Kohberger, a lot of the times that he had conversations with his peers, that because he was hyper focused on criminal psychology, on his studies, that's what would come up in communication, right? He had this intense focus on criminal psychology. And again, most people don't want to hear about that. They're like, this person's weird. This person's weird, right? Also, some people that are on the spectrum need routine and predictable lives, patterns, schedules, and sometimes things outside of that can be very disruptive to their life in general, right? And I know some people within the US are still calling it Asperger's. Technically, that word was taken out of the DSM back in like, I forget. It's not in the new DSM anymore. So if you're familiar with autism, you can very clearly see his autistic traits when he's sitting through the court hearings, which is why I said in the early days before we knew he had a diagnosis that he was autistic, most likely. And I was right. My guess was right, right? Because when you pay close attention to him sitting through the court hearings, you see, what do we see? That what people were calling, what undereducated people were calling um, sociopathy, detachment. Look at him; he's a psychopath. He's so detached. It's like that's minimal facial expressions. That's minimal body movement. In his sentencing, people were analyzing him to be, oh my God, he's showing no remorse. And he's even excited. Why is he excited? He shouldn't be excited. And although I don't have a body language background, I think he was feeling very, very awkward with the entire situation and he was uncomfortable, but not expressing it in a physical way that we could see it, right? So, either way, guys, I'm more interested in Dylan Morrison because I heard that her aunt did the GoFundMe for her. Is that true? I want to know more about Dylan Morrison's past, like from when she was born to now. But either way, guys, I'll let you know. I gotta get going. It's almost 4. Take care. See you soon. Okay.